Hi guys, it's Paula and I hope you are doing well. This is going to be a new edition of Exhibit A. It has been so long since I filmed one of these. It has been absolutely forever. I have previously done 4 other Exhibit A's. So if you like this video, I will leave the playlist for the other 4 I did a while back and you can see what I looked like 2 years ago, because that's about the last time I filmed one of these. It has been so long. I wasn't expecting it to be such a long break in between episodes of Exhibit A, but I really like to allow these things to happen organically, and it's been a long time since a palette has been released that has really caught my attention the way this one has. The palette, as you probably saw from the thumbnail that we are going to be talking about today, is the Natasha Denona Bronzed Collection palette. It is gorgeous. I will insert a picture up here of the palette. It's beautiful. It stopped me in my tracks, and I can't say that's happened recently with an eyeshadow palette. I've really been keeping my blinders on, and I've been doing a really good job of almost being completely unaware of what's coming out. So if I'm aware of this palette coming out today, I'm pretty sure you guys have already heard about this palette coming out today as well. The point of Exhibit A is for me to shop my stash for hard evidence that I do not need this palette. And with the 4 other times I've done these videos, I've successfully not bought the palette 3 times. The 4th time I was gifted the palette because I asked for it. But I've had a pretty good track record with doing these videos, and I'm hoping this will be the same case for this one because I don't need this palette, and the evidence is right in front of me. I have like 15 pretty solid pieces of evidence that I do not need this palette. Now, I am not suggesting that any of these eyeshadows compare to the Natasha Denona formula. I think Natasha Denona makes amazing eyeshadows. I think her formula is possibly my favorite eyeshadow ever. I really do love Natasha Denona eyeshadows. So I'm not suggesting that any of these eyeshadows are as good as Natasha Denona quality-wise. I'm just saying there's really no color scheme that a makeup brand could come out with that I probably don't already have, because I've been hoarding makeup for so many years that I have it all. It's already been done. So that's the point of this video. Not that I'm comparing any of these eyeshadows to the Natasha Denona formula, because I think her formula is excellent. Let's start with Exhibit A and B. These guys have made their appearance in these videos before. This is the Morphe 350M and 350S palette. They're orange, bronzy, shimmery, and matte palettes that I think are surprisingly good for the price. I know that Morphe brand can be somewhat polarizing and that you either love them or you hate them, but I don't think you can argue that the shades in these 2 palettes are somewhat reminiscent of the Bronze Collection palette from Natasha Denona. So the top one is the shimmer and the bottom one is the matte. Exhibit C is another Morphe palette. It is the Jaclyn Hill palette. Now there's other colors in here besides bronze shades, but the top 3 rows of this palette are pretty good. Are pretty good dupes for the Bronze Collection palette from Natasha Denona. And I've never used this palette even once. I've never used the 350 shimmer palette. Well, maybe I've used the 350 shimmer palette once. But this palette is untouched, so I do not need another palette, particularly one that costs $65. I don't need it. Exhibit D is this Too Faced Natural Love palette, another palette I've never used even once, but I feel like a lot of these shades down here would fit right into the Bronze Collection palette from Natasha Denona. And I feel like this Love Bug shade over here might be close to the purpley shade that's in the Natasha Denona palette as well. Yet another palette I've never used even once, the Lorac Mega Pro 3. There is so much bronzy goodness in this palette. It is beautiful. And the Lorac formula is very good, and I've never used this even once. Okay, I'm embarrassed to admit this, but we're not done talking about eyeshadow palettes that I've never used even once that I own. This one right here is the Desert Oasis palette from BH Cosmetics. I still remember seeing Tati swatched this palette and thinking, dear Lord, I need to own this. I ran out, I bought it, and I still haven't used it even once, which is ridiculous. But I think there's some really good shades in here that could help create a very bronzy eye look. And I know this palette is reflecting everything, but I'm thinking about like these three right here, these down here. They would make a gorgeous bronzy eye look. And I think it could possibly dupe some of the looks from the bronze palette. All right, let's talk about what I have on my eyes today. I think I achieved a fairly bronzy look, reminiscent of some of the shades that I saw in the Natasha Denona palette, and I used Natasha Denona. So I do have this green brown palette, and I know a lot of people look at this palette and they see the greens right down the middle, but if you look at this row right here, it's bronzy goodness. And although I'm sure she did not put some of the exact same shadows in the Bronze Collection palette, I think you can achieve the same look. And I have this one all over my eyelid today. I have this one in my inner corner because I am trying to hit pan on that one. But this is what I have all over my eyelid today. It is bronzy, it is beautiful. And then in my crease, I have two old singles that I'm trying to hit pan on as well. My Milani Bella Mandarin and my NYX Copper. So that's all I really used on my eyelids today. And these were all just sitting in my bathroom. I didn't even have to dig in my office to find these. They were already in projects, and I'm already trying to work on them anyways. So I do not need the Bronze Collection palette. Now there are two other shades in the palette that are not coppery bronzy shades. They're kind of interesting, deep, dusty, purpley shades. And I think I found a couple of dupes for those as well. My Natasha Denona Lila palette. A palette that I've never used even once. I know so many of you guys know that. I know this drives so many of you guys crazy. I promise I will be doing a get ready with me using this palette soon. But yeah, I don't need a palette for a cool purpley shade because I have this palette right here. And this is a pretty cool purpley shade that kind of reminds me of the purpley shade in the Bronze Collection palette. And I have this shade right here. And this is a Natasha Denona palette. So between the two Natasha Denona palettes I already have, I feel like I can create several very nice eye looks with the Natasha Denona formula that I love so much. So I do not need the Bronze Collection palette. As far as those two purpley shades, I also found these two sitting in my bathroom, and I think they are pretty good dupes. This is NYX's Morocco. And I've been wearing the heck out of this. I've been trying to hit pan on this. And then a Super Shock shadow I just pulled into a project is Tinsel, and I think this would be a pretty good dupe for that purpley shade as well. And Super Shock shadow formulas are amazing, especially the metallics like this one. I personally feel like the Super Shock shadows and Natasha Denona shadows are on par with each other as far as the amazing shimmery metallic duochromy looks that they create. That's another thing. There are some duochromes in the bronze palette. Most of these eyeshadows I have are not duochromes, but I've kind of started to lose some love with duochromes. I still think they are so cool, and when I see them swatched, I want to buy all of them, but the truth is that when I put them on my eyes, they don't do a whole lot. They don't look like a whole lot, and I am becoming just a slight bit disenchanted with duochromes. I know they're still really popular, and I know a lot of us love them, but duochromes and me are like a moth to a flame. Like, I just go towards them and I want them so bad, and I'm trying to get out of that habit and break that pattern, because the truth is when I put them on my eyes, I don't know if it really does much. I have a couple more eyeshadows to show you that are bronzy goodness. The first one is a single, and almost all of us have it. If you still have L'Oreal's Amber Rush Pressed Pigment, it is a gorgeous bronzy shade. It's rose gold. It is beautiful. But man, if you have this and you just want to get some of the Natasha Denona bronzy collection out of your system, wear this for a week. You'll be good. You'll realize you don't really need a whole nother palette just because it looks new and exciting. This Smashbox Trio in a Blaze, gorgeous bronzy shades. Another Smashbox Ablaze product is the palette. I have the full palette from the Ablaze line as well. Never used it. Gorgeous bronzy goodness. I've never used it. My Too Faced Peanut Butter and Jelly palette. The original people that combined bronzy shades with purpley shades, and I've never used it. My Pat McGrath Mothership Sublime Bronze Ambition palette. I have used this, thank goodness. Hazel's played with it as well. But what drew me to this palette was the same thing that's drawing me towards that Natasha Denona palette, and I still have 6 shadows that are basically brand new. I have used them before, but maybe I should use these before I buy another bronze palette. Just saying. And finally, I have my Touch in Soul Metalist palette, High Shine Bouncy Cream Shadow palette. These cream shadows are drying up before my eyes. I've never used it even once. I'm ridiculous. There are some gorgeous bronzy shades in here. Bronze, 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 beautiful. And this red is probably a dupe for a shadow in the palette. All right, guys, I'm completely disgusted with myself. Even after 2 years of being on a low buy and trying to curb my shopping, I still want to buy more eyeshadows that I don't need. And I still have so many eyeshadows that I've never used even once, which is heartbreaking. How could I even think about buying another palette when I have all of these beautiful eyeshadows that I've never used even once? It is ridiculous. Hopefully this video has helped me to realize I do not need this palette. I have shown myself plenty of evidence to support that case. But hopefully it has also helped some of you who are craving this palette as well. It's a neutral palette. In many ways, it's just a beautiful neutral palette, and at the end of the day, we're all in love with neutrals because they're so flattering and so beautiful, and even though we all have these neutrals, we still want more. And I hope this helped you. If it did, I hope you subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I hope you shop your stash for dupes for this palette that you might already have but have forgotten about. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.